Imagine reading like a really passionate 5-paragraph review for a new espresso machine. The reviewer describes how the crema sits perfectly on top, how the steam wand textured the oat
Oh, I
milk.
had highly specific details.
Exactly. And you are totally convinced. So you click buy, you chat with customer service to update your shipping address, and the
Yeah.
rep is incredibly polite, cracks a mild joke about Monday mornings, updates your file. It feels like a completely normal transaction
Sure.
until you realize something horrifying. The reviewer who wrote about the crema, the storefront software that processed your payment, and the customer service rep making Monday jokes, they are all the exact same artificial intelligence program.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You are literally the only human being in the room, and you just gave your money to a ghost.
It really is the creeping dread of the modern internet. I mean, it's that realization that the lights are on, but nobody biological is actually home. We have constructed this massive, interconnected digital society. And suddenly, the most basic foundational element, just knowing you are interacting with another person with a pulse, is totally evaporating.
Which brings us to the core mission of today's deep dive. We are trying to figure out how you, the listener, are supposed to navigate a digital world where trust is basically broken.
Right.
Like, how do we prove we are human? And maybe more importantly, how do we build digital systems that actually matter, that solve real problems when the barrier to faking reality has just dropped to zero?
It is the defining question of the next decade, honestly.
To get to the bottom of this, we are pulling from a really fascinating dispatch from Consensus 2026 down in Miami. Specifically, we have a pair of presentations given by the founders of Pi Network, Dr. Chengdiao Fan and Dr. Nicolas Kokkalis.
And I have to say, these sources are incredibly grounding because they bypass all that usual philosophical hand-wringing.
Yes.
They aren't just complaining about bots on the internet. They are mapping out highly specific structural blueprints for how to actually salvage digital trust.
Which we desperately need.
Right. And they're doing it by smashing together technologies that usually just exist as buzzwords. Web3, artificial intelligence, and blockchain.
Okay, I am so glad you mentioned buzzwords because honestly, my eyes usually glaze over the second someone says Web3.
Oh, totally. Mine too.
Half the time, those terms feel like they belong in a venture capitalist's pitch deck, not in a conversation about things you or I would actually use.
Yeah, they get thrown around a lot without any real substance.
Exactly. But the framing in this dispatch changes the game entirely. We are going to look at these technologies purely as mechanical tools to solve a very specific problem, connecting real human beings to real utility without demanding that they surrender their privacy to some massive tech corporation.
And the timing of this framework is critical, right? Because AI has entirely inverted the economics of creation.
How so?
Well, historically, building a complex application or writing a million lines of code or generating thousands of pieces of localized content that took massive teams of humans and years of time.
Oh, absolutely. Huge budgets.
Right. Now, you can generate all of that in seconds for fractions of a penny. AI made building things virtually frictionless.
Yeah.
But the dark side of that frictionlessness is that it also made faking humanity frictionless. The barrier to creation plummeted, but the barrier to trust skyrocketed.
Anyone with an internet connection can just spin up an army of automated personas.
Exactly.
So before we can even get into the trench warfare of how to tell a human from a bot, we have to look at the battlefield itself. What are humans actually doing on these decentralized networks? Like, why are we even here?
Right. The core utility.
Which brings us to Dr. Chengdiao Fan's presentation, aligning Web3, AI, and blockchain for utility.
Yeah, and she opens her presentation with a surprisingly blunt autopsy of her own industry.
She really doesn't hold back.
No, she doesn't. She argues that for years, the broader crypto and Web3 space has suffered from a massive structural misalignment.
Okay, unpack that a bit.
So you have this brilliant underlying cryptography and distributed ledger technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the way developers have applied token design to that technology has been fundamentally flawed. It's been completely detached from real-world product innovation.
Okay, wait. I'm going to push back on that a little bit, or at least play devil's advocate for the developers who built this industry.
Sure.
When she says token design is misaligned with product innovation, isn't that ignoring the fact that historically the token was the product? I mean, the entire point of launching a crypto project for the last decade was capital raising. You write a fancy white paper, you mint a token, people buy it because they hope the line on the chart goes up, and you cash out.
Right.
It was never about utility. It was always about the quick exit.
And you are describing the exact pathology she's critiquing here.
Yeah.
She explicitly notes in the text that tokens have been used predominantly for, quote, capital raising or quick exits.
Yeah.
So your assessment is historically accurate. But Dr. Fan's point is that treating a token purely as an investment vehicle is a dead end. It is a system built entirely on sand.
It reminds me of the tickets at a really dilapidated arcade.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Right. You walk in, and nobody's there because they actually enjoy the games. The games are terrible, the graphics are bad, the joysticks are super sticky.
Yeah, totally unplayable.
You are just mindlessly whacking moles or rolling skee balls because the machine spits out a giant reel of paper tickets. The game itself offers zero utility or joy.
None at all.
You just want the ticket so you can run to the prize counter, cash out for a lava lamp or a handful of plastic spiders, and leave the arcade forever. For years, crypto tokens were just digital arcade tickets. Everyone was just playing bad games to get the tickets to cash out.
And the arcade ticket analogy highlights the core structural weakness of that whole era. Because what happens to the arcade when people realize the lava lamps are out of stock or that the plastic spiders are actually worthless?
People stop playing the games. I mean, the arcade goes bankrupt.
Precisely. If you are a listener who cares about the actual mechanics of a system, you have to look at the incentives.
Yeah.
If a digital ecosystem is designed purely as a speculative vehicle, if the only reason I am holding a token is my belief that some greater fool will buy it from me tomorrow for a higher price, that system possesses zero intrinsic utility.
Right.
It relies entirely on a constant, never-ending influx of new capital and new hype. The moment the hype cools, the moment the new capital dries up, the entire structure collapses.
Because the game wasn't actually useful. Nobody was there to use the software. They were only there for the exit.
Exactly.
So if everyone is standing around just looking for the exit door, nobody's actually putting down roots. Nobody is building a business. Nobody is buying goods. Nobody is interacting with the community. The building is empty.
And that exact realization is the catalyst for the paradigm shift Dr. Fan is demanding. She states that tokens have to undergo a complete metamorphosis. They can no longer function as casino chips. They absolutely must be engineered as tools.
Tools to do what, exactly? Because, tool is a very broad word.
It is.
The source material highlights 3 specific functions: user acquisition, product engagement, and long-term utility.
Right.
I really want to dig into these mechanics. Let's start with user acquisition. In the traditional tech world, what we call Web 2.4ers, if I build a new app, how do I get people to use it?
You pay for ads.
Right. I have to pay Google or Meta or whatever massive tech monopoly owns the attention economy. I buy ads. It is incredibly expensive, and my money goes to the middleman, not the user.
Yep.
How does a token act as a tool to fix that?
Well, think about the pure friction of that Web 2 model.
Yeah.
You are spending massive amounts of capital just to shout into the void, hoping someone somewhere clicks a banner ad.
Yeah, it's super inefficient.
What Dr. Fan outlines is a system where the token bypasses the advertising middleman entirely. If you have an ecosystem token that has established value within a network, you can programmatically distribute that token directly to the users who show up and try your product.
Wait, really? So instead of me paying a social media giant $10 to show you an ad for my app, I just give you the $10 worth of value directly for downloading the app?
In a simplified sense, yes. The token incentivizes the initial action. It fundamentally alters the customer acquisition cost model. The value flows directly from the builder to the participant.
That makes so much more sense.
But, and this is where your arcade analogy comes back, if that is all the token does, it is just a sign-up bonus. People will take the bonus and immediately cash out.
Right. Back to the exit door.
Exactly. That is why user acquisition is only the first step. It has to immediately bridge into the second function, which is product engagement.
Right, because showing up is one thing, but sticking around is another entirely.
Yeah.
How does a token mechanically enforce engagement?
By embedding itself into the actual functionality of the software. The token cannot just be a passive reward sitting in a digital wallet somewhere. It has to be the engine oil of the application.
Okay, give me an example.
Let's say you are building a decentralized social media platform. Perhaps users need to stake a fraction of a token to post content, which naturally prevents spam.
Oh, that's smart.
Or maybe the token is used to tip creators, or to gain access to premium community features, or even to vote on how the platform is moderated. The engagement is not about staring at a price chart.
Right.
The engagement is utilizing the token to unlock the actual value of the product itself.
Okay, that leads perfectly into the third function she mentions, long-term utility. I am picturing a subway pass.
A subway pass, okay.
Yeah, like, I don't buy a monthly subway pass because I'm speculating on the future price of public transit. I buy it because I physically need to get on the train to get to my job.
Right.
The pass has intrinsic utility within the closed ecosystem of the city's transit network. It sounds like Dr. Fan is saying tokens need to become digital subway passes.
That subway pass is an excellent mental model because it strips away all the financial speculation. If a developer in this new AI era wants to build a sustainable business, they cannot rely on speculators hoarding arcade tickets.
They need commuters.
Yes, they need commuters. They need users who are riding the train every single day. The long-term utility is achieved when the application solves a genuine frustration or provides a genuine service, and the token is the required medium to access that service.
I completely follow the logic, but I am still stuck on the enforcement side of this.
What do you mean?
Well, it is incredibly easy to stand at a podium at a tech conference and say, we need to build things with real utility. It sounds great, but developers are lazy and humans are greedy.
Fair point.
What physically stops a developer from just building another speculative casino app and slapping a token on it? Is there a mechanism that actually forces this shift? Because the text brings up something called PiLaunchpad, which seems to be their answer to this.
You are hitting on the critical vulnerability of any philosophical shift, which is execution. PiLaunchpad, as described in the dispatch, is the mechanism to operationalize this theory. It is an infrastructure layer designed specifically to enforce this new model. The architecture of the Launchpad and the ecosystem tokens are engineered to connect developers with real users rather than algorithmic trading bots or speculators.
The text mentions a specific feedback loop that I want to spend some serious time on. It says these real users, quote, engage, provide feedback, and use those tokens within actual product experiences. Why is the concept of human feedback being highlighted so aggressively here?
Because we have to bring AI back into the equation.
Okay.
AI has completely collapsed the development timeline. 5 years ago, if you wanted to build an app, you needed a team of engineers, a UI designer, a QA tester, and 6 months of runway.
Yeah, it was a massive undertaking.
Today, a single developer can use an AI assistant to write the boilerplate code, design the interface, and deploy the application in a single afternoon.
Sure, the AI can write the code, but
Yeah.
the AI doesn't actually know if the app is any good. It just knows the syntax is correct and the code compiles without throwing an error. Like, an AI can spin up a million puzzle games in an hour, but it has no idea if the puzzle is actually fun to solve.
Right, there's no case.
Right. It doesn't know if the buttons are too small for a human thumb. It lacks the capacity to experience subjective frustration or joy.
And that is the bottleneck of the modern era. You can automate the creation of software, but you absolutely cannot automate the validation of software.
Yeah.
The subjective human experience is the one thing silicon cannot replicate. If you are trying to build utility-driven products people actually want to use, you need a reliable, high-volume stream of actual humans to test them.
To rate them, complain about the confusing menus, and tell you what works.
Exactly.
And this brings in a detail from the margins of our source material that just blew my mind. At the bottom of the dispatch, there is a reference to a previous blog post titled, Vibe Coding Meets Pi App Studio. Build AI-created apps for 60M plus people.
That single headline provides the sheer scale of the infrastructure we are dissecting here.
We really need to break down the concept of vibe coding for the listener because it sounds like science fiction.
It really does.
Vibe coding is this emerging reality where you don't even need to know how to write code anymore. You just sit at your computer and use natural language. You type into an AI, I want an app that feels like a cozy coffee shop, lets people trade vintage recipes, and uses an orange color palette.
Right, you just give it the parameters.
You give it the vibe, and the AI generates the underlying architecture. Now, normally, if you vibe code an app in your bedroom, your biggest nightmare is finding your first 100 users to tell you if it works.
Yeah, distribution is always the hardest part.
But this text is talking about an infrastructure with a built-in network of over 60 million engaged people.
Try to really conceptualize that number for a second. 60 million people is not a beta testing group.
Yeah.
That is roughly the population of Italy or the UK.
It's staggering.
When you combine the absolute frictionlessness of vibe coding with instant programmatic access to a massive human network via a platform like PiLaunchpad, you are entirely rewriting the physics of software deployment.
Yeah.
A developer can have an idea on Tuesday morning, have the AI build it by Tuesday afternoon, and have a million real humans poking and prodding it by Wednesday.
Wait, and this is a massive structural, but this entire utopia of vibe coding and instant feedback completely disintegrates if we trip over the trapdoor we mentioned at the beginning of the show.
The AI bots.
Yes, a network of 60 million users giving you feedback on your AI-generated app is completely useless if 59 million of those users are just AI bots pretending to be humans.
Which is the perfect entry point for the second half of the consensus dispatch. If Dr. Fan outlined the economic necessity utility, Dr. Nicolas Kokkalis outlines the existential threat to that utility.
Right.
His panel was titled, How to Prove You're Human in an AI World Without Doxing Yourself.
Because if an AI builds the app, and then a swarm of AI bots flood the app to test it, and then AI bots write the reviews saying the app is great, you have built a closed-loop hallucination.
Yeah, exactly.
There's zero human utility. You are back to an empty arcade, but this time the arcade is full of mannequins playing the games.
And that erosion of trust is fatal to the system. Historically, when we talked about bots, we were talking about clunky scripts. They would, spam a comment section with links to fake sunglasses.
Yes, super obvious stuff.
Your easiest spot. But the text makes it clear that the AI threat has evolved massively.
Mm-hmm.
Modern AI systems can mimic natural human keystroke delays. They can generate entirely unique, contextually relevant conversations.
It's terrifying.
They can simulate the messy, irrational behavior of a crowd.
So if you are a developer, how do you know if your user acquisition metrics represent real human beings adopting your product, or just a highly sophisticated botnet that is farming your ecosystem tokens to drain your treasury? The traditional answer to this in the banking world is identity verification. Show me your passport, give me your social security number, hold up a utility bill next to your face, and take a selfie.
Right, massive data collection.
But Dr. Kokkalis explicitly includes a parenthetical in his panel title, without doxing yourself.
We really need to define doxing carefully here, as it sits at the center of the privacy debate.
Right. Doxing is a piece of internet slang. It comes from dropping docs, as in documents. It basically means having your private, real-world identity, your full name, your home address, your workplace, your phone number exposed to the public internet against your will.
It is a massive violation of personal security.
Huge. So the tension Dr. Kokkalis is highlighting is this. We absolutely must verify that users are human to save the network, but if we demand all their sensitive data to do it, we destroy their privacy.
It is the tightrope walk of modern digital infrastructure. The text insists that privacy-preserving verification must avoid exposing unnecessary personal information. But it adds a crucial caveat. The verification must remain usable for real people.
I am so glad that caveat is there, because I have tried using some of these hyper-secure privacy tools before, and honestly, they require a master's degree in computer science to operate.
Oh, they can be a nightmare.
If the process of proving you are human requires you to manage 12 different encrypted keys, download specialized software, and jump through flaming cryptographic hoops, an average person is just going to close the app and go watch TV.
Absolutely.
You haven't protected their privacy. You've just built a door so heavy that nobody can open it.
Exactly. The security cannot come at the cost of basic usability. You need a system that is incredibly complex under the hood, but completely seamless for the user.
It makes me think of a bouncer at a nightclub. Think about the mechanics of that interaction.
Okay.
You walk up to the door, the bouncer stops you, and you hand them your driver's license. What is the bouncer actually looking for? Right. They are looking at one specific piece of data, your birth year. They need to verify the single attribute that you are over 21. That is it. The bouncer does not need to know your home address. They don't need to know your height, your weight, or whether you are an organ donor.
Yeah, that would be weird.
And they certainly don't take your license into a back room, photocopy it, and store it in a filing cabinet forever. They verify the necessary attribute in the moment, and they let you in the club.
That analogy perfectly isolates the core technological challenge. In the era of Web3 and AI, how do we build digital bouncers?
Exactly.
How do we verify the specific attribute of humanity without vacuuming up all the collateral data attached to that human being? And crucially, how do we do it without storing that data in a centralized honeypot that hackers will inevitably target?
And before we go further, I want to clarify for the listener that we are looking at this purely through the lens of engineering and usability. I know the topic of digital IDs can trigger massive political debates about surveillance and government overreach.
Right, it gets heated very quickly.
But in the context of this consensus dispatch, This is not a political debate. It is a mechanical necessity. If a digital network cannot mathematically prove its users are biological humans, the utility-driven business models Dr. Fan was talking about simply cannot function. The economics collapse. So how do we build this digital bouncer?
Well, the source text offers a fascinating, highly nuanced framework from Dr. Kokkalis. He posits that proving humanity is not a single binary switch. It is not just you are verified or you are not. It is a spectrum.
A spectrum.
Yes, the level of proof required depends entirely on the context of the action being taken. He breaks this down into 3 distinct tiers of verification.
I want to spend some serious time unpacking these 3 tiers, because if this is the architecture of future internet trust, we really need to understand how the plumbing works. What is the first context?
The first context is the most stringent, exact identity. The text notes that, quote, in some cases, systems need to know exactly who a person is.
Okay, stop right there. Because we literally just spent the last 5 minutes talking about the importance of not doxing yourself, minimizing data exposure, and digital bouncers only checking your birth year.
I know.
Why would a decentralized system ever need to know my exact real-world identity? That sounds like exactly the kind of surveillance we're trying to avoid.
It sounds contradictory until you apply it to the real world of commerce and regulation. If we extrapolate this based on Dr. Fan's push for sustainable business models, we inevitably crash into the traditional financial system. Let's say you are building an application that allows users to seamlessly convert their ecosystem tokens into US dollars and wire them to a bank account. Or perhaps you are building a platform for KYB Know Your Business where companies are signing legally binding contracts on the blockchain.
The government enters the chat.
Precisely. The traditional financial system is governed by strict, non-negotiable laws regarding anti-money laundering and counterterrorism financing. If your application acts as a bridge between the decentralized world and the regulated fiat world, anonymity is legally impossible. The IRS and international regulators do not care about your digital privacy if you're moving $10,000 across borders.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
In this specific context, the digital bouncer isn't just checking your birth year. They need to scan your passport, verify your address, and ensure you aren't on an international sanctions list.
So for high-stakes financial or legal infrastructure, saying, I am a mysterious but cryptographically verified human just doesn't cut it. The context demands exactness. I get that.
Exactly.
But that is the top tier. I assume most daily interactions on the internet don't involve wiring 10 grand to a bank. What is the second context?
The second context is much broader and more applicable to daily internet use. Human versus bot. Dr. Kokkalis explains that for many systems, they may only need to know whether an action is being performed by a human or a bot.
This ties perfectly back to the vibe coding and developer feedback loop we discussed earlier.
Yes, it does.
Let's imagine I just used AI to build a new decentralized platform for reviewing local restaurants. I launch it on Pi Launchpad. I don't care what your real name is. I don't need to know where you live or what your social security number is.
Right.
I just need to know that the review you just posted for the taco truck down the street was written by a biological entity who actually ate a taco and not a script running on a server farm in another country.
Exactly. In this context, complete anonymity is perfectly acceptable, provided the specific attribute of humanity is cryptographically secured. The digital bouncer looks at you, confirms you have a pulse, and waves you through without ever asking for your name.
How does that actually work mathematically, though? How does a computer prove I have a pulse without knowing who I am?
It relies on advanced cryptography, specifically concepts akin to zero-knowledge proofs.
Okay, what is that?
Without getting bogged down in the complex math, think of it as a way to prove, a secret without ever revealing the secret itself. Through previous interactions or specific verification challenges on the network, your digital wallet is granted a cryptographic credential that essentially says certified human.
Got it.
When you interact with the restaurant review app, your wallet presents this credential. The app verifies the math behind the credential, confirms it is valid, and accepts your review. It knows you're a human, but it learns absolutely nothing else about you.
So we achieve the massive scale of user feedback without creating a massive privacy liability. That is brilliant.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the third tier, and honestly, this one feels like the most subtle, but maybe the most dangerous if you get it wrong.
Yeah, this one is tricky.
The context of the unique person. The text says systems may need to know whether unique people are behind a set of actions.
This requires very careful analysis because the distinction between human and unique person is the battleground where many decentralized networks die. Why does uniqueness matter separately from humanity?
Let's go back to Dr. Fan's idea of user acquisition. Say a new network is launching, and to incentivize early adoption, they're giving away 100 free ecosystem tokens to every human who signs up.
Okay.
If the system only checks for humanity tier 2, what stops me from writing a script that automates my own verified human credential to create 10,000 anonymous wallets? I am a real human, so I pass the human versus bot test, but I am hoarding 1 million tokens by pretending to be a crowd.
You have just described a Sybil attack.
A Sybil attack.
Yeah, in computer science, a Sybil attack is when one single entity subverts the reputation system of a peer-to-peer network by forging a massive number of pseudonymous identities. They use these fake identities to gain disproportionate influence or drain resources.
Oh, okay.
The name actually comes from a famous case study in psychology about a woman named Sybil who had dissociative identity disorder.
It is the digital equivalent of putting on a fake mustache, going through the buffet line, taking the free sample, going to your car, putting on a different hat, and getting back in line. You are still a human, but you are exploiting the system's inability to recognize that you are the exact same human.
Precisely. And this is fatal for decentralized governance. If a network relies on a democratic voting mechanism for community decisions, say, the community is voting on whether to upgrade the protocol, it is not enough to know the voters are human. You must have a cryptographic guarantee that one human equals exactly one unique vote.
Right.
If a wealthy user can spoof 10,000 unique identities, democracy basically collapses into oligarchy.
So how does the digital bouncer handle uniqueness? Because now we're asking the bouncer to do a lot more than just check for a pulse.
Well, to stick with the nightclub analogy, the bouncer needs a mechanism to ensure you don't keep entering the club, taking the free welcome drink, leaving through the back door, and walking right back to the front of the line.
Okay.
The solution is the invisible ink stamp on the hand. The bouncer doesn't need to know your name, they just need to shine the UV light on your hand. If they see the stamp, they know you have already been counted.
Oh, that's clever.
In the digital realm, this means the network uses complex identity algorithms to generate a unique hash for each user. It doesn't link to your name, but it ensures that your specific biological presence can only register one primary account in the system.
Think about your own digital life right now as you are listening to this. Like, how much of your personal data are you bleeding out on a daily basis just to prove you belong in the room?
So much.
You are constantly clicking on crosswalks and fire hydrants and CAPTCHAs, basically training AI models for free. You are handing over your personal cell phone number to massive corporations for SMS verification, which they will inevitably sell or lose in a data breach.
Yep, happens all the time.
You are linking your Google or Apple accounts to every random website you visit. We are leaking data everywhere just to prove we aren't bots. This three-tiered contextual approach, exact identity only when legally required, humanity for engagement, uniqueness for fairness, is a fundamentally different paradigm for navigating the internet.
It represents a total transition from the Web 2 model of data extraction to the Web 3 model of cryptographic proof. You own the credential, and you only reveal the minimum viable proof required for the specific context of the transaction.
Right.
But introducing AI into this equation creates a profound nuance that we really have to address, because up to this point in the deep dive, we have treated AI primarily as the villain, the thing generating the botnets we were trying to lock out.
Yeah, the enemy at the gates.
But Dr. Kokkalis makes a vital, counterintuitive point in the text.
Yeah.
Not all AI is bad.
Yes, this is a brilliant and necessary wrinkle.
Yeah.
Dr. Kokkalis highlights the importance of distinguishing between two entirely different camps of automation, AI agents and fake activities.
Let's parse that distinction carefully, because the future of interacting with the internet really relies on it. The text defines AI agents as tools that, quote, help and represent real people. On the other side of the ledger, fake activities are defined as entities that pretend to be human.
Okay, I am not buying that entirely. I need to push back here.
Okay, let's hear it.
From the perspective of the network infrastructure, code is code. If I am using an AI agent to perform actions on my behalf, say, I tell a specialized AI to scour the blockchain, find the best prices for a specific ecosystem token across 10 different exchanges, and execute hundreds of microtrades for me while I sleep. How is that any different from a fake activity? My bot is flooding the network with transactions. It is a machine executing commands. At what point does my helpful agent become indistinguishable from a malicious bot?
It is a phenomenal question.
Hmm.
But the defining line between the two is not the action being performed. The defining line is accountability and provenance. It all comes back to the concept of trusted human participation.
Okay.
An AI agent operates on a leash, and that leash is held by a cryptographically verified human being. When your trading bot executes those hundreds of microtrades, the network knows via the identity layers we just discussed that those actions are ultimately tethered to you.
Oh.
You authorize the agent. More importantly, you bear the economic and reputational consequences of those actions. If your bot makes a bad trade, your wallet loses funds. The loop of accountability is closed.
So the agent is essentially an exoskeleton for my verified will. It amplifies my reach, but it is still fundamentally me pulling the levers.
Exactly. A fake activity, however, is an orphan. It is a rogue script operating independently, explicitly designed to spoof the verification systems and trick the network into believing it is a biological human.
It has no leash.
No leash at all.
Mm.
It is not representing a user. It is stealing the space of a user to siphon value out of the ecosystem without providing any in return.
And if we connect this distinction back to Dr. Fan's presentation on utility, it makes perfect sense why a developer would welcome AI agents but fight fake activities. If I am building a sustainable business on PiLaunchpad, I don't care if a human user is manually clicking the buttons on my app or if they are using their personal AI agent to navigate my interface to save time.
Right.
What I care about is the economic intent. I care that my product is acquiring real users with real purchasing power and real needs. I want the human's authorized agent engaging with my product. I absolutely do not want a farm of orphaned bots draining my server costs and manipulating my engagement metrics.
This is where the two presentations from Consensus beautifully synthesize into a cohesive worldview.
Yeah, they really do.
Dr. Fan outlines the economic necessity of moving away from speculation toward real utility and real users. Dr. Kokkalis outlines the technical reality of proving those users are real in an environment saturated with generative AI. You cannot have sustainable utility without trusted identity, and trusted identity is pointless if there is no utility to engage with. Neither vision can exist in isolation.
So we have spent nearly an hour unpacking what might be the most complex, monumental challenge facing the tech industry right now. As AI radically lowers the barrier to building software and generating content, the hardest part of the job is no longer writing the code.
Not at all.
The code is basically a commodity now. The hardest thing, the truly valuable thing, is connecting those digital systems to real, verified users, ensuring their participation is trusted, and creating meaningful utility that people actually want to engage with in their daily lives.
That is the new frontier.
So to bring this all down to earth, how is Pi Network actually attempting to build this? Because theories are great, but infrastructure is what actually matters.
Well, the conclusion of the source text provides us with what we can think of as their toolbox. It lists the specific foundational components of Pi's ongoing development. But we shouldn't view these as just a random shopping list of features. We need to look at how these pieces interlock to form the machine we've been discussing.
Let's build the machine live, piece by piece. The bedrock of this entire system, according to the text, is the Layer 1 blockchain and smart contracts.
This is the physical land and the physical laws of this new digital city. The Layer 1 blockchain is the decentralized, immutable ledger where these utility-driven products actually live. It ensures that the network isn't running on a single centralized server in a corporate basement that can be turned off on a whim.
And the smart contracts.
Those are crucial here. Think of a smart contract as an unbreakable digital vending machine. You put the correct token in, you select the item, and the machine automatically dispenses the product.
Right.
It cannot be bribed, it cannot change its mind, and it doesn't care who you are. Smart contracts are the immutable rules that govern how the ecosystem tokens function, ensuring they enforce the user engagement Dr. Fan envisioned, rather than being easily manipulated by speculators.
Okay, so we have the land and we have the vending machines. The next piece of the toolbox is identity verification and payments infrastructure.
If the blockchain is the land, the identity verification is the border patrol and the digital bouncers we spent so much time discussing. This is the cryptographic engine that solves Dr. Kokkalis' contextual humanity problem. It is the system capable of discerning exact identity for legal compliance, checking for a pulse for app engagement, or verifying uniqueness to prevent Sybil attacks.
And then the payments part.
Attached directly to that identity is the payments infrastructure. Once the bouncer lets you into the club, you need a way to actually buy a drink. The payments infrastructure allows those verified humans to engage in frictionless commerce, which is the oxygen required for Dr. Fan's sustainable business models to survive.
The next component listed is non-custodial wallets. I really want to pause here because the term non-custodial is vital for the listener to understand. Why does it matter that the wallet is non-custodial?
It is the ultimate safeguard against the sins of Web 2. In traditional tech, companies are custodial. A massive tech giant holds your data, holds your access, and holds your identity in their vault. They can lock you out at any moment.
Oh, absolutely.
Non-custodial means that you, the user, hold your own private cryptographic keys. Think of it like a titanium safe where only you know the combination.
Right.
The network can verify the contents of the safe mathematically, but the network does not own the safe, and it cannot open it without your permission. You maintain total, absolute sovereignty over your digital assets and your cryptographic identity. It prevents the network from eventually morphing into a monopoly that holds its users hostage.
You own yourself. I love that. And finally, the piece that actually breathes life into the cold cryptography, the engaged global community, the network of over 60 million people.
Because without them, the machine is dead. None of the advanced Layer 1 cryptography, none of the unbreakable smart contracts, and none of the clever tokenomics matter if the city is a ghost town.
Yeah, nobody wants to be in a ghost town.
The community is the engine block of the Pi launch pad. They are the commuters buying the subway passes. They are the ones providing the messy, subjective human feedback that the AI vibe coders desperately need to build apps that actually matter.
If we pull back and look at the blueprint of this machine we just built, it is profound. We are looking at the deliberate construction of an environment where the frictionless, almost magical creation process of AI-assisted building can safely collide with a massive, cryptographically verified human audience.
Yes.
They are trying to build a closed-loop system of absolute trust inside an internet that is otherwise collapsing into trustlessness.
It is arguably the most comprehensive blueprint for what a post-AI internet has to look like if it is going to remain economically viable and genuinely useful to human beings. Is the necessary synthesis of decentralized architecture, rigorous but context-sensitive identity proof, and massive global scale.
So, to pull all these threads together for you, the listener, we started this deep dive looking at a very specific modern anxiety, the creeping realization that the internet is overrun by AI bots pretending to be us, and the crypto world is overrun by financial hype completely devoid of utility. We traversed Dr. Fan's aggressive critique of the old arcade ticket token model, replacing it with a vision of tokens acting as fundamental tools for user acquisition and genuine product engagement. We explored the absolute necessity of massive, subjective human feedback loops to validate the endless, frictionless stream of AI-generated applications.
Right.
We then navigated the maze of Dr. Kokkalis' digital bouncer, breaking down the three vital contexts of proving you have human exact identity, human versus bot, and uniqueness without doxing yourself to the public. And we discovered the crucial economic difference between your personal, helpful AI agent holding a leash and an orphaned, fake bot activity trying to steal your space.
It is a dense framework, but an essential one. It maps the necessary transition from an era of unchecked speculation and mass data extraction to an era defined by verified utility and trusted, sovereign participation.
Which leaves us with one final, lingering thought for you to mull over as you close this deep dive and go back out into the increasingly automated digital world.
Well, let's hear it.
If artificial intelligence continues on its current exponential trajectory, making the creation of software, digital art, text, and even video entirely effortless and functionally free will, the ultimate, most valuable luxury of the future internet simply be the cryptographic proof that you are interacting with another genuine, flawed, unique human being.
That is something to think about.
We hope this deep dive has equipped you with a much sharper lens to view the impending collision of Web3, AI, and digital identity. Thanks for exploring the depths with us, and we will catch you on the next one.